Start making some plans. You got to have some plans for your family, all right? You got to take your family along. Don't leave them out. One of the challenges all of us have in making our plans is how to balance everything, to make sure that we don't regret at the end of a year, I spent too much time on that. I spent too much money. And then if you have, say, how can I not do that again? And construct some better plans so that you won't have any regrets at the end of a year to come, 5 years to come, 3 or 4, 5 years to come. Definite plans. The plans for the use of your money, you got to have a good plan for your resources so that you find yourself secure regardless of what happens. I agree with Napoleon here. You got to have good plans. One more on plans, and that is the plan for your personal development. The plan to be better this year than last year. The plan to take the classes, attend the workshops, do everything you possibly can to show personal progress. Not just financial progress. Not just the progress of having one more car or one more home, but the progress of personality. The progress of communication skills. The progress of recruiting skills. The progress in how to deal with people. Progress in using your influence so that it multiplies its power by 5 by 10 versus what it used to be. You need those kind of plans. A plan for personal growth, personal development. A plan to be all that you can possibly be in the years to come as you develop business and your life business and your family business. All of that. Got to have good plans. Next, Napoleon Hill had a good saying. It was something my father had and passed it on to me as a good philosophy. And here's what he said. A good leader has the habit of doing more than what he gets paid for. What an incredible philosophy this is. The habit of doing more than you get paid for. It's what we call the service that you put out like seeds in the ground that doesn't bring the harvest immediately, but the harvest is yet to come. It's called like putting out the capital in capitalism. Doing more than you get paid for means that you're getting ready for the next move up. Because if you do more than you get paid for, you've made an investment. The average person might think if I do more than the company requires, then they're ripping me off. I'm not getting paid for that extra time, that extra attention. But you must not view it that way. You must say, I'm getting there a little earlier, staying a little later, as an investment in my own personal future. Because I want that kind of reputation. I want that kind of philosophy to work in my life. Do more than you get paid for. The payoff in the future can be fantastic. So you do more than you get paid for up front. It's happened for me, making the investment. When I first started lecturing 36 years ago, I talked to high school classes, college classes, service clubs, and I gave it all away. I went and talked for free. Someone said, Mr. Rohn, would you come and do this breakfast talk? I said, sure. Could you do this luncheon talk for this service club? I said, of course. And all of that in the beginning was for free. Primarily because I'd made my fortune. I didn't need the money, but I did it for free. But look what it's made for me by giving that kind of service in those early days. And finally it led to business and led to an enterprise. And I was giving the seminar all those years ago here in Los Angeles, and Mark Hughes was in my audience. So what you don't get paid for, don't worry about that. Just render the service with the vision of the future that it'll come back multiplied if you have this kind of habit, this kind of philosophy. Next, Napoleon Hill talks about personality. You need a pleasing personality. There's many parts to your personality. One is your working personality. The kind of behavior, the kind of attitude that you need, especially in the public. Some things you can kind of get by with, being a little careless, maybe in private. But in public, where it counts so much in your paycheck, it counts so much in building your business for the future, your own personality. But here's what you also must remember. You develop your personality in private so that it serves you well in the public. Sometimes we get the mistaken idea, I can be careless with just these few and be more careful when I have 1,000. But see, that doesn't work that way. Careless with a few, sure enough, that will creep into your presentation for 1,000 people. The influence you have one-on-one, that's what really counts. You say, well, I'm only talking to 2 people, it doesn't matter much. That's when it really matters. Because if you'll practice well there, using your personality, using your influence, to get someone's attention, to get them to listen, to get them to participate, the kind of personality that someone says, I'd like to be around this person. They're unusual. They're not like the average person I meet on my everyday experience. That kind of personality. But you've got to practice it behind the scenes. You've got to practice it one-on-one. And if you're effective one-on-one, 1-on-3, 1-on-5, I promise you, that will get you ready to now perform with the kind of personality, the kind of charisma that wins people when you're in front of 500 people, 1,000 people, 5,000. So this is a good point, working on your personality. Here's the best gift you can give someone, and that's the gift of attention. Attention is so powerful. When I was a young man, I met Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest men in America at that time. He's gone now, but he was a unique individual, ran for vice president of the United States. And I had a chance to be where he was holding a press conference, and I got close enough so that when he walked out, I had a chance to step up, right, when security was not all that severe in those days, and I had a chance to put out my hand, shake his hand, and say, Mr. Rockefeller, my name is Jim Rohn. And what I remember most was the attention he gave me. With the lights of the cameras around and everybody all around, he looked right at me and said, Jim Rohn, where are you from? I said, Idaho. He said, I really like Idaho, my favorite states in all of the country. And for just a few seconds, he gave me his attention, shook my hand. I'll never forget the handshake, right? One of those multi-million-dollar handshakes. But I'll never forget that personal attention he gave me, just for a few seconds. It was powerful. Made an impression on me that's lasted until this day. That's why I remember to tell the story. So, same thing you can learn to do. Utilize your personality, utilize your influence, give people the gift of attention. Here's the rest of my list now as we finish up. Next, Napoleon Hill said a leader needs sympathy and understanding. We have to develop that early in our lives. All of our lives, we have to look at those that are less fortunate than we are. Those who need a helping hand, and especially now we learn to look at those who need an opportunity, those who need a change in their health, those who need a change in their life and in their lifestyle. It's this kind of sympathy and understanding that drove Mark Hughes to construct the company. It took that kind of understanding, that kind of sympathy. Then Mark understood what it meant to be poor. He understood what it meant not to have. He understood what it meant to be short on finances, on resources. He understood what it meant to lack, full formal education. He knew all of those lacks. And instead of crying about it, he said, what I will do is change it for myself, and then I'll help other people that have the same challenge. Lack of education, lack of the money, lack of the resources, lack of good health, faced with all kinds of difficulties they can't solve. I'll get mine solved, and then I'll be strong enough and have the skills to where I can help other people. That kind of leadership quality is so powerful. That kind of understanding. Here's the next one. A leader must have, Napoleon said, a mastery of the details. How very true. All can be lost with just a couple of missing details. On the trip to the moon, everything has to work, right? There's several thousand moving parts. There's several thousand pieces to the project of getting to the moon and coming back, and all of them have to work. You can't have 10% of them working, 90% or 80%. They've all got to work. And then there's the backup systems for something if something goes wrong to back it up. That kind of mastery of detail is so vitally important. But this is also important in the details of your day, the details of your business, the details of good communication. Master the details. Good advice, Napoleon Hill. Willingness to assume full responsibility. All of us have been taught that, to take full 100% responsibility. Mark Hughes says, what happened to me might not have been my responsibility, but what I do about it is my full responsibility. I've had some things, some people did me wrong. In his first couple of business experiences, he was done wrong. Some people ran off with the money. He was left holding the bag. But he said, that's what happened. And I was not responsible for what happened, but I am responsible for saying to myself, now, what am I going to do about what's happened? If a hailstorm destroys the farmer's crop, he wasn't responsible for that. But his responsibility now begins when the hailstorm is over, when he asks the question of himself, what should I do now? Now that this catastrophe is over, now that the damage is done, now what should I do about it? And a philosophy I've taught all these years, it's not what happens to you that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens that determines your future.
Chẳng được quên khi cơn mưa đêm lại về. Em nơi quên lời thề và ta như đông chìm sâu. Không còn mơ em anh nhận màu. Anh chỉ cần mơ đâu bye bye. Chỉ còn là những cơn mưa vô giá cho bên mơ em không mơ anh. Anh một đêm mơ chỉ cần bên em không được cần nhớ và chỉ có em không còn nhớ và người ta bên nhau như ngã tớ. Muốn nhớ về say em chỉ có mấy em ở đây và anh như muốn chết đi nhưng không muốn em mãi mãi. Tình yêu làm cho ta đau đầu không em như nằm mơ mộng. Anh như đang mong cầu và mưa bên em ngủ sầu. Chào các bạn mai em mơ chỉ có bên em nhưng đừng có mơ. Em vẫn đang dài em muốn bên ai anh không mong gì hơn chỉ mong em sẽ ở đây ôm anh thật gần. Anh chỉ mong đôi ta được có nhau và đừng em đâu anh có em muốn ở bên anh có em. Ta sẽ trao nhau môi hôn thật sâu ôm anh.
nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn, no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. It sucks when you finally feel like giving up. Oh God, no luck, everything feels like you're sticky stuck. I'm lost, handcuffed to the bed where I sleep, don't give a fuck. Can't stop, unplug, feeling over